Hello there, Russ. I thought I'd show you how to bush a mainspring barrel. So here we go. So as you learned last night, to put the jaws in. So it's number 1, number 2, number 3, just close them right up just to make sure they meet in the middle, as we did last night, and they do. So bring the jaws out until they're a little bit bigger to fit that. So it's okay to hold on the geared part as long as you hold very lightly, otherwise obviously you'll damage the gear form. So an old business card in there, and pressing the front at the same time so it runs true and parallel. Close the jaws and just nip them up very slightly, enough to hold them but not enough to crush them. And now we're going to use this tool here. That's a tool that you can actually go straight in with without having to drill it first. Which you'll see in a minute when we come to make the bush. So turn the machine on. So go in. And just touch on very carefully and slowly. It's touched on, okay, it's taken a bit more out actually, but it doesn't matter. So we want at least a 1.5mm wall, so we've got to take 3mm out, thereabouts. So there's 2mm, 2 and 2.5mm. So that's a rough cut. I'll just take a finished cut. There we are, as quick as that. I'd certainly recommend a vernier, a digital vernier. You can't probably get that in there anyway, but because we're making the bush to suit, it doesn't really matter what the size is exactly. So take that out. I've got an airline, which is a very handy thing to have. So take the burrs off with this scraper. There we go. So we measure the hole, and that's 11.32. So we're going to make a bush that's about 2 thou bigger. So it presses in there. We'll take the jaws out. Always make sure before you put jaws in that it's clean. So number 1. I've actually marked, because the numbers are here, well they were there, I've put like 1 dot here and 2 dots for the 2 and 3 for the 3 to make it easier to see without having to sort of put your head in there. So that's number 1. We go for number 2, number 3. Close them down again just to make sure they're in the right place. Okay, they are. So material, which I've got here. So that's 11 point. So I want to go 11.37. That's going to give me, I know, 7mm interference fit. So here's the material. So never over tighten the chuck because that can damage it because it's only a small chuck, but just enough to hold it. With your tool post, it's very important that it's clean before you put one in. You don't want any swarf in there. So, this is the turning tool. That's the tool you put in the machine last night, or the same as. So, touch on. And I'm going to remove all the material on the end of this because it's too small. You see it's going across to the centre without leaving what they call a pit, which is like a lump in the middle. Cuts everything off. If your tool becomes a bit hard to turn on the dial, it could be because it's too high or it's worn. So just take the front off. So first of all I'm going to take a roughing cut. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, that's 12 thou. Feed across by hand gently. Then you measure it with a micrometer. I don't know if you know how to read one of these yet. So we're making this 11.37, I think I said. Yeah, 11.37. So that's 11.59, 0.59, 0.37, 0.22. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.2. That should be 11.37 now. Which it is, spot on exactly. So now we're going to use my boring tool that you saw earlier. That's this one. You can go straight in with this, you don't need to drill first. So the arbor is 6mm, so what you can do, just go by eye to the centre and come back 2, 4, 5mm, and now you can go straight at a bit smaller we go. You can zero here, I think you have a dial on yours, then we go in 2.5mm, see, straight in. Now we'll take a cut so we can measure it. So 5.53, so we want to go 4.47. So now 0.1, and that's finishing. We'll go a bit bigger because we have an interference fit where we press it in. It needs to be a bit bigger, so when it shrinks down, it's not too tight. So we're going up 0.1mm. That's 4 thou bigger. Okay. That's 6.1, that's perfect, that's what I want. So you need to measure the width of it. So it's 1.8. So I'll make it 2mm. So there's a parting tool, that's what we're using to chop it off. So I know that's 1.7mm wide. So on this dial I want to go plus 0.3. Touch on. take a small bit off. So we want to go across the thickness of the tool, which is 1.7, 0.7, 1.7, and 2 millimeters. 1, 2, 2. Just go in gently. Of course, if you're machining steel, you have to go much slower and take much smaller cuts. Deburr it with a file. I put a slightly bigger chamfer on one side so we can press it in from that side. I wouldn't recommend this because I've been doing it years, it's okay, but I would use a file that's probably safe for you if you're not used to it. That's just taking the burr off. Now we chop it off. So there's your bush. And that, just take the back of the burr off so I can press it in from that side. Right. Right, so now I put it in the arbor press. It's a very handy tool to have. Hi there.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks you.
Yes, not too bad.